From the sands of the sea, back to the block, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Funky gets the fuck, but I went solo on that ass for this deep thing. Long Beach, the spot where I serve came. So let me what you bet not slip, cause non-trends ain't the years in, cause I can drink. So I ain't holding nuts back, and once again I got 520 sack. It's like corporate as a matter of fact. Check, as I never hesitate to put a food on it. Yeah, super rock the nuts. The city is a must be rock. What's my name? Yeah, yeah. It's the bounce of the white. Creeping and crawling, you get your shows and Snoop Doggy Dogg in the house with the pound like every day. And I'm right back up in you with Dr. Dre. And like I said, none of y'all can get this, and none of y'all can. But I just talk cause you know it don't stop. Mr. One Next, seven on the undercover TikTok. Never the got just some nuts in the cracks. You put your hands in, I kill you blood clots. And I step through the fog and I creep through the smoke. Cause I'm Snoop Doggy, Doggy, Doggy. Just throw your hands way up in the air and wave them all around like you just don't care. Yeah, roll up the deck and pour the drink and watch your step. Why? Cause doggy's on the deck. My bank goes on swole. I'm still on hit legit now, more for roll. Scroll. With the dog pound right behind me. And GM. How we doing, everyone? Uh, good to be here and hosting this space today. Hope the music was cool. Gave a little love to the dogs out there. I know we got a lot of dog action on Runes, so it seemed kind of fitting, and a lot of dog in the audience. It's a sunny day today. The sun is orange and it's made of Bitcoin. And yeah, we're gathered here today with some exciting guests of all kinds: dogs, cats, puppets, and we're going to talk the good word of runes, fungible tokens on Bitcoin, and all things past, present, and future within them. So happy to have everyone here today. If you're new here to runes and just listening in, you know that's great. I'm sure you've seen the charts right now and all the social charge going on. No denying that runes are thriving at the moment. So you know those who did not fade it at its lowest are thriving too, which is many of the guests here on the stage. So if you're in those communities, first we'll start with the classic: like, retweet, share, do your part, and orange pill a friend today. Um, and quick look at the market, maybe just for some spice. You know, looking at the volume the last 7 days, Billy Cat on top, leading the charge. I know there's a little friendly rivalry here. Just looking at Magic Eden, but Billy Cat, we got Dog Go to the Moon, Pulp's World Peace, Sasha the Bitcoin Cat, and Arsic in the top five here. But things are heating up. Friendly rivalries, you know, are driving a lot of fun going on. And yeah, if you're new, it's simple. We'll say this: like, if you like what you're hearing, set up a Magic Eden wallet. You can bridge all your altcoins instantly to Bitcoin. And just go to magiceden.io, click runes at the top, and get started. So yeah, looking at the speakers today, yeah, we have some of the greatest, both some of my fellow colleagues at Magic Eden, building away with me, as well as some of the top contributors and project leads and just awesome people in the space that I would say have balls of steel. Like I said, you know, we've made it through some tough times together, and we're here to spread the good word. So Yeah, the way I'm thinking, I think it'd be really helpful for people if we talk about, kind of like the past, the present, and the future of runes together, because I think there's a lot to learn about the past. There's a lot to just discuss about the present, and then there's a lot to talk about for the future of runes. So, yeah, I think we could start maybe with some quick intros. Everyone on the stage is kind of really quick, like kind of what you're repping, what your background is. I guess we could go to the right to my colleague Zed here. Um, has the ETH going, but he's a runes maxi. Don't worry. So yeah, let's start with some intros and then can kick it off talking about kind of the past side of runes.
Fuck man, I get cooked so hard by people on my team about this. I really gotta do something about it, guys. All right, nice to see everyone. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm fucking really pumped to talk about runes, man. I've been shilling runes on the timeline for fucking 2 weeks straight now, and we've been cooking really hard on a bunch of stuff. Excited to share more about it. For those of you that haven't been part of the full runes history over the last like 7, 8 months, we can share a little bit about the origin story too, because I think there's a lot of similarities with how the ordinals market played out, and I think it's worth talking about. But I'm excited. Just for context, the ones that I haven't met, a lot of familiar faces, but a bunch of people I haven't met before. So I'm one of the co-founders of Magic Eden. Been working on Bitcoin since we started this part of the business about almost 2 years now, 18 months, 2 years, and I had the pleasure of working with Niall and Make Tokens Fun over here, and many of the legends in the audience. So thank you for having me. Fucking pumped.
Let's go. I don't know if everyone. I mean, Leo, I'm gonna hand it to you. I don't know if everyone's spaces is the same where it shows the same order, where I could just say go right. But if not, yeah. Leo, maybe you're the expert of Twitter Spaces, but either way, you could start.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, everybody sees a different stage, so it won't work. But look, yeah, I mean, I'm Leonidas. I have been in the trenches just like Magic Eden has since the early days, since basically all these guys on stage have. Ordinals came about and started a company, Ord.io. It's an Ordinals and Runes Explorer, and you can mint runes through Ord.io now as well. And look, helping to champion the free and fair movement with Runestone and Dog, and I host a Twitter space called the Ordinal Show. So that's me.
Sweet, Farmer Joe, you wanna cook it?
Yes, sir. No, glad to be up here with everyone, kind of speaking. Love everyone else kind of pushing their own communities, their own runes. Myself, I guess I'm kind of like a Web3 native for better part of like 4 years now or so. So kind of seen it all from like the Ethereum ecosystem, post DeFi summer, all the way to like L2 scaling. Was never like an NFT trader, but always kind of just was a lurker of them from the past. I think I just missed that boat and didn't want to be yet again an unsuccessful trader buying everyone's tops. But Ordinals kind of changed the game where I felt this resurgence or this creation of Bitcoin as a true Web3 chain, and we saw it start with Ordinals. We saw it, shortly thereafter with Magic Eden kind of coming to Ordinals as a platform, and then we saw it in April with Runes as like, I would say right now the dominant and I would say cleanest token standard on Bitcoin. And super excited that Magic Eden is playing ball here as the number one marketplace for these things.
Sweet, Bongo.
Yo, I'm Bongo. I work at Hashlinks, the one and only Bitcoin mining project, alongside with ASICs, and I'm a humble billion-dollar card community member. Thank you for having me.
Sweet, Vincent.
Hey, what's going on? Name is Vincent. I run a crypto YouTube channel called Cryptolution. Been studying the space for quite some time now and have been completely fascinated with runes, specifically more with Dog. Dog was what gave me the dog pill, gave me the orange pill. I just fell in love with what was going on with everything built on Bitcoin. With data and everything that I've just kind of studied, I'm kind of like now I guess, a runes analyst. I've just been completely infatuated with this whole scaling with fungible tokens on Bitcoin and that scalability and just the interest in it, knowing that there's a meme coin super cycle coming up, and that's kind of the narrative in this bull cycle. So I'll mostly be talking a lot about Dog today, but I am also very excited to talk about how the Runes ecosystem is continuing to grow, but also how Magic Eden is doing a great job leading the strongest horse in this game before these centralized companies or exchanges start getting involved. So very excited to be talking about this, and thank you for having me up.
Sweet. Kukulkan.
Hey there, thanks for having me. How's everyone doing? So I'm Kukul Khan. I'm a partner at Buoyant Capital, which is a private equity fund, which we specialize in high frequency trading, and I'm a co-founder of Lobo and pushing it with the Wolfpack. Also, we're the guys who donated the 8 Bitcoin and are the owners of the historical Fort Mayor, which was done by the Leonidas, which a great movement that he done. We wanted to support it, and yeah, like that's me.
Yeah, it's one of the best stories, and obviously Runestone was a pivotal moment. Azan, what's up?
What's up, brother? Honored to be here. So I'm Azan. I'm the founder of Luna Labs and founder of Sparky Rune Dog. I guess on the Bitcoin side, what Luna's known for is we were massive sad hunters right in February when Ordinal Theory came out, and we found like Pizza Uncommon, that's in like the Pizza Ninjas collection. The oldest, basically the oldest sats on Bitcoin as well are under our ownership as well. So that was our role in the space. Honored to be here.
Sweet. And last but not least, my man, Make Tokens Fun, the man making tokens fun on Magic Eden. How we doing?
What's good? What's good, everybody? My name is Make Tokens Fun. Yeah, so I was actually Farmer Joe's intern for like 2-3 years. I leveraged that and some connections from Farmer Joe to work at a centralized exchange for a little bit. And then I've always been pretty big into NFTs. Kind of saw like the mempool fees spiking at that centralized exchange pretty drastically around the time of like Ordinals launching, and so that's kind of like sparked my interest. And then started collecting some Ordinals, probably like I guess last summer, and then made my way over to Magic Eden because it was so cool to see some on-chain activity on Bitcoin. I wanted to be a part of it, so really happy to be here now, and huge shout out to Farmer Joe for getting me here.
Yeah, that's
Just to be clear, I did in my reference check say that you were one of the worst interns I've ever had, so I'm truly surprised that even extended the offer to you.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he's here. What is that? What is this about? What's happening right now?
Farmer Joe, you need to be very clear about, do you want oat milk or almond milk in your coffee? You kept switching up on me.
Yeah, we know he left the centralized exchanges because they weren't listing runes quick enough. So, yeah, let's get into it. I think like I said, let's go back. Let's start with the past. For those who don't know what kind of runes, where they came from, they were created by Casey Rodamore, the creator of Ordinals Protocol. So initially off the bat, everyone was super excited about these. They launched in the halving this year back in April. I'm sure even if you're not deep in runes, maybe you remember pre-runes, Ordinals going absolutely nuts before, including many of these like Runestone, Pups, and everyone else who did pre-runes. But yeah, I mean, obviously we all had a thesis and strong conviction on runes early on. From the Magic Eden side, I know like we were thinking about it, and there was obviously other fungible standards out there. BRC-20 was one of the first. But yeah, everyone viewed runes differently, one way or another. And I think like at the end of the day, what we all have mutually aligned here is that we just have crazy conviction on runes, and a lot of people can learn from that today, because the market goes up and down, but like that never stopped us from shipping. That never stopped the people on the stage from showing up every day. So I want to kind of get to the why of that and kind of talk about each person's thesis or conviction on runes. I think maybe we'll start with like maybe Z, if you could walk through like Magic Eden's perspective, and then we can open it up to all the creators here, kind of what built their conviction, and kind of just like, yeah, walk through the beginning stories of how each of the tokens that you guys are related to, how they launched, and kind of, yeah, like what made you show up every day during downtimes to get, to keep building every day. So yeah, maybe we start with Z.
Yeah, I'll share two takes. I know we've got a lot of people, so I'm gonna not try and drag on. But the first take is more, I'll just share like the macro picture view of like just at the top level of the company. Because yeah, man, even back then, and I still think about it now, for us to go into Bitcoin back in early 23, it is a little crazy. It's kind of like the people that were doing that back then, it was like hard to justify from a pure business case. Like, there's no business case study that's like, go build on-chain Bitcoin things. No one would really tell you that's a really good idea. So I think it ultimately comes down to conviction, and like the conviction that we had, it's pretty simple. It's basically that Bitcoin is the biggest, it's the mother chain, and if you believe that, that's going to continue to be true, which I think as time goes on, that's just going to become more true from my perspective. Like it just gets more Lindy the more time goes on, and if you believe that's going to be true, then on-chain assets on Bitcoin are going to be big. And that's actually as simple as a thesis as that. And then as a result, like we were already thinking about building a multi-chain as a priority for the company. So then we thought, okay, why not go to the biggest one? Let's just give it a crack and see if something comes from it. And ultimately, what gave us the conviction was not so much like, it's not so much the tech necessarily, right? Because obviously we all know here, everyone who's working on it knows it's it's kind of painful. It's like you gotta wait for a bunch of shit. It's like hard to build. But actually, what gave us a lot of the that feeling early on was actually the social consensus. Man, it's like immediately from day one, you could just feel the vibes were different. You could feel that like the people in the trenches were different. You could feel that like people were not complaining about random things, right? Everyone was kind of in here to try and make something unique, make something amazing out of Bitcoin. That previously was everyone thought was not possible, but actually, when we all got into crypto, we all got into crypto because of Bitcoin, right? At least probably the vast majority of people here. And having the opportunity to do that, I think is not only like from a personal perspective, that's like insane motivation, but from a company perspective, if we can be one of the companies or one of the top companies that can push Bitcoin now and into the future, and the longevity of Bitcoin and the strength of Bitcoin, like man, I want to sign up for that. That is absolutely something I want to sign up for. And then for runes specifically, okay, man, I remember thinking, okay, I'll be honest, like when we started doing ordinals, like we were very bullish on that. We tried to do BRC20. We actually tried. Everyone's probably forgotten because we didn't we didn't really do that well, if I'm totally honest. So people have probably forgotten that's something we did. But I remember thinking like we didn't do a good job of it because I think fundamentally we ourselves did not fully believe that would be the fungible token standard. And as a result, we did not actually put as much investment as I think it takes to really build something long term. So like after that experience, we kind of were a little bit unsure about whether we should even do runes. But ultimately, what took us over the line was that, you know what, runes, like from a community and social consensus perspective, it had a lot of the same people from ordinals that were also believing in it, right? So we felt that okay, that is something that then it's not like some fragmentation of a bunch of random standards anymore. It's just there are people that actually believe in this thing, and then we should also help champion it. And that's not easy to do because there continues to be many different types of fragmentation and new standards that get built, whether it's on like on Bitcoin L1 or a bunch of people experimenting on sidechains and L2s. So I think it's important actually to build a bunch of that conviction into the one thing to the degree that makes sense. So we dove in, man, ups and downs. Runes went very quiet for a long time, but we've seen this movie before. I mean, I shared a tweet the other day that was like, look at the first 6 months of ordinals and then look at the second 6 months of ordinals. I just think it's the same story, guys. Look at the first 6 months of Runes. We're catching a bid now, so I'm pretty pumped, and yeah, we've had a team on it the whole time. So we have like PM, Make Tokens Fun, Nick has been on it, Niall over here, and we've had like a team of like 8 to 15 engineers just constantly trying to improve our product. So anyway, let me stop. But that's some of the history and sort of how we think about it. Just giga bullish.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah. Again, most of us probably echo the same sentiment. But yeah, I would love to hear from some of like the creators and contributors. Yeah, like your thesis on runes from day one. Why nothing's changed. Why you've shown up in the trenches. I mean, I've seen Leonidas posts, and I'm just like, holy, this guy was showing up every every day for the dog army, uh, even at the lowest. So would love to hear.
Look, there's 100 ways to answer this question, but fundamentally, you don't fake Casey Rodamore, I think would be my number one piece of advice, right? Like this guy creates this NFT protocol on Bitcoin. It's just an incredibly thoughtful, incredible primitive he created. Like, in my opinion, just blows all other NFT primitives out of the water. And I totally got orange pilled on that. And then he comes out with his fungible token standard. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. 2024 is just running back 2023 with ordinals. The same people who faded ordinals are going to fade runes. The same people who fudded us are going to fud runes. And at the end of the day, it's like, look, I'm a narrative-driven investor, right? So to me, forget everything else. Forget all of the technical stuff. Like, go ask somebody, like, would you like to hold a meme coin on Bitcoin? Would you like to hold an NFT stored on Bitcoin? The answer is like yes. Like it's a very resounding yes. Like if I have the choice of holding it on these various chains, I'm specifically talking like higher value assets, and especially the crypto native traders. They would much rather hold these assets on Bitcoin. It's just very much kind of no brainer for a lot of people. And when I think about Dog just as an example, or Pops or Billy or any of these meme coins on Bitcoin through the Runes protocol, the way I think about it is these things will all eventually work their way onto centralized exchanges, and we'll probably have some crazy crypto bull run over the next 18 months. And at the peak of that, I believe that retail is going to want to buy meme coins on Bitcoin. I think they're going to be presented with a choice on these exchanges, these hundreds of millions of users logging in and pressing buy on meme coins. I think they're going to have a choice of, do they want to hold the dog coin of Ethereum? Do they want to hold the dog coin of Elon Musk? Do they want to hold the dog coin of Solana, the dog coin of Tron? Or do they want to hold the dog coin of Bitcoin? And my belief is that the dog coin of Bitcoin is the single strongest meme coin narrative ever created. And we'll have to see if that plays out, right? Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do on the user experience side. You guys have a team grinding away of very talented engineers, like improving the UX. I'm very excited to see what you guys end up coming out with. But bottom line, the narrative is just strong. Doing something on Bitcoin is better than doing it on any other chain, in my opinion. Especially if you're like the crypto native type of individual who really appreciates the provenance and immutability and I guess like history and legacy and scale of Bitcoin. And meme coins on Bitcoin it's just the narrative is very strong, and people can come up with 100 reasons why they think meme coins on Bitcoin won't happen, but yeah, the narrative is there, and I think the narrative ultimately will prevail.
Yeah, anyone else feel free to just hop in. Vincent.
Yeah.
Jared.
Oh, sorry. My bad. For me, like, the most exciting part of just playing around on Bitcoin is simply because it's on Bitcoin and everything's kind of priced in Bitcoin. There's a lot of ways that traders, narrative traders, on-chain experimenters, you can play on Monad, you can play on, Berachain, but at the end of the day, like, you're still kind of hindered by the fact that the base L1 token or scaling token or whatever, that's kind of going to be the dominant asset on that chain. And that is largely kind of in the hands of VCs and early investors and so forth. So I think, from a Bitcoin perspective, we all kind of started here with things being priced in Bitcoin. Bitcoin being around since 2009, no VCs, no centralized entities really controlling the direction of it. And Ordinals kind of follows the ethos of Bitcoin in a lot of ways. And similarly, Runes as a token standard to me was one that followed the ethos of that as well. So from like the Puff story, it was just meant to be really kind of an experiment at the start. BRC20 tokens came out at that point in time, and I was just kind of tired of minting and inscribing a bunch of these tickers. Like, it was just random 4-letter jargon basically, but there was never really like a memetic profile. There was never really a community around that token being built. It was just, what's going to be the hottest 4-letter ticker for the next 48 hours. And Ordi and Sats, to me, weren't just, to me, they're not just, they're not memetic meme coin communities. I mean, they're interesting tickers that have had a mass audience and have got their way to a centralized exchange. But launching pups as like a BRC20 token, I thought it would be kind of interesting to also experiment with doing the first fungible token airdrop on the Ordinals BRC20 token standard. Kind of inspired by like the distribution methodology of Bonk on Solana. And then, this thing took like 7 or 8 days to even mint out from like the remaining 75%. So for me, I'm just like, great. Like, I'm happy to create the website. I'm happy to create social profiles for it. I'm happy to kind of create the fundamentals for it. But if no one's really noticing for the first 10 days, then I think, I kind of failed. But then thereafter, the Bitcoin puppets shortly launched, and it was kind of like a moment where I was anticipating the Opium collection to grow, just because I thought the community was massively funny and just largely memetic in nature. And it was like December or so of that, or like January or so of that. And I really just didn't want the BRC20 token to die out in flames. And so I thought about this idea after Runestone had airdropped their ordinals. So in a lot of ways, inspired by Runestone, doing like a ordinals collection to runes distribution model, where we would increase the token supply by a memetic number, and then distribute proportionally to the new collection holders to try and get everyone kind of behind the meme coin itself, to, I would say, in a lot of ways, like unify the community, because it was just in the hands of, I would say at that point in time, mostly like OGs and some people that got airdrop, or some people who bought it along the way. But yeah, obviously, seeing the potential that Runes as a token standard had, seeing kind of the memetic energy that the community had, I think migrating from a BRC20 to a Runes token was challenging, and not everything was truly figured out at that moment in time, simply because there was no infrastructure partners to do so. But I was kind of betting on myself and the rest of the people that I know to figure this out, much largely like most teams try and figure things out. And so there's a migration from like a wrapped BRC20. Like Pups was a first token, I guess, a Bitcoin token that made its way to Solana, which I thought would be beneficial from like a trading experience, distribution perspective. And obviously having a BRC20 token sit on Solana, the migration process needed to be seamless as well. But we've crafted a way that anyone on Bitcoin can migrate to the Rune, anyone on Solana can migrate to a Rune. It all kind of comes back to the Rune, and after November 5th, it's simply just a Rune meme coin and nothing more than that. So yeah, look, I think the exciting part is simply that we're on Bitcoin, that I'm able to be kind of vandalizing this chain a little bit, putting my imprint into it, but also kind of shaping in a lot of ways what this ecosystem really becomes. And I think just working with really good teams, trying different products, being kind of a pro user of a lot of things on this chain, to me that's like it's kind of like my daily blessing, really, that I can be almost feel like a like a core contributor of ordinals and runes without actually being a dev in any way, shape, or form, but rather kind of a I would say a power user in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I feel like the cool part is it's like watching that HBO documentary, like runes and ordinals weren't even mentioned yet. But I think in the future they will be, and like everyone who's contributing now will be included in some way or another. Like you might see Dog, Billy, like Pups and everyone, who knows, on an HBO documentary in the future. I can't see hands because my Twitter space is messed up, so just feel free to be orderly and however.
Yo, here, Vincent coming in. Yeah, just to briefly just kind of catch up with the previous performance of Runes. Let's just rewind back on April when the Bitcoin halving happened. When Runes had launched, yes, there was a huge spike of interest regarding people paying fees. We saw that Runes was taking up majority of Bitcoin transactions. Now that was amazing, but obviously there was that huge dip when it was just kind of dying down, less activity, and it was kind of quiet within Runes. But all of a sudden, say for instance, Dog and many other different runes were experiencing this parabolic run, which took the rune ecosystem above $2 billion within 21 days. That's by the way, that's pretty extraordinary. That to me proved that there, is no friction. People like to say like, oh, the UX and UI is not, easy for newcomers. But the thing is that pump happened so fast. And to me, I think we're underestimating the people who understand how to buy, sell, trade runes. And I think it's, due heavily to our experience buying ordinals, using Xverse or Magic Eden Wallet to have exposure to that. So I think pretty much we're really well trained into understanding how to buy that. So now that the runes ecosystem is kind of like in this consolidation phase, the most important thing I wanted to focus on was numbers. Numbers and data typically don't lie. You can focus on the price of certain things or what the news is saying, but that's all emotional in some certain way. But if you focus on just the data alone, just think about Bitcoin in general, right? It's 1.2, 1.3 trillion at the time of this space. And if you account for if runes were to make up just 1% of that, that's either 12 billion or 13 billion. Right now, runes totally is just $1 billion in market cap. Look at Shiba Inu, say for instance. Shiba Inu is the number one meme coin so far on Ethereum. It makes up 2.5%, even up to 3% because it keeps fluctuating, of Ethereum. And the same thing can be said around Dog With Hat on Solana. So to me, if just the rune ecosystem just makes up 1% of Bitcoin's market cap, well, obviously the biggest play is all these different runes that are inscribed, and people can have exposure to their different communities. But again, it's not oversaturated to me because there's so many different tokens on Ethereum. There's so many different tokens on Solana. I'm completely overwhelmed by it. But to know that Bitcoin has the largest audience across the world, based on what CoinMarketCap's quarterly 3 report had just shared with us, it's huge. It's the largest audience out there, and you can't forget that amount of liquidity is just waiting to be unlocked into these things. I know it's really popular in the West, and we talked about this yesterday in the Ordinal show with Leonidas. And hearing that the West is fully adopted, or not fully adopted, but is more familiar with runes, while the East isn't really too familiar and they're more into BRC20s. I think right now we're just waiting for that technology. If it's Coinbase, if it's Binance, if it's any other platform, especially Magic Eden, who, by the way, again, is doing a great job of having the best developers creating these tools. It's, to me, the biggest play by far. Knowing that we're in this meme coin super cycle, it's just quite obvious that right now people are forming their communities within Pups, Billion Dollar Cat, Dog, and many others. But when I see these communities, I see these long-term conviction holders. That's what Bitcoiners are. They are all about seeing the long term. So when you're attracting this audience to something like meme coins on Bitcoin, it to me makes all the sense in the world. Imagine if they allocate 0.05% or 0.1% of their portfolio into the rune ecosystem. Most of these other runes, especially smaller tier ones, are going to be in the $1 million range, and the top tier ones are going to be in the multi-billion dollars range. And to me, the bearish trend for all this is that if Bitcoin hits 100,000, bringing it to 100,000 per Bitcoin, bringing the market cap of Bitcoin to $2.1 trillion. And if, say for instance, Rune makes up 1% of that, well, most of the data is telling me that right now, the Rune's market cap should be at least $21 billion. So we have to keep this all in perspective. If Bitcoin continues its bull trend going on since from, I think, October through March is when I see the most bullish momentum with Bitcoin. But to me, I just feel that right now, the biggest play is Runes. The numbers are telling me it's Runes. And once these centralized exchanges start listing Runes for spot trading, then that's where I become a little bit worried, because it's great for the ecosystem, but at the same time, it's putting tokens in a centralized way to these big players. And so I'm trying to inform everybody what's going on with Runes right now, because right now everybody has the opportunity to buy these things on a decentralized exchange such as Magic Eden, having exposure to this before these centralized companies, entities, whales, possibly hedge funds, who knows, have exposure to Runes and add this as a meme coin asset class. And I think Leonidas explains this perfectly. But this is why I say study the past of Runes, because it's really playing out again right now as we speak. We're seeing the very similar cycle where we're starting the next new bull trend, and all the data is showing us that we're in a golden cross for many of these different things. So yeah, that's my perspective.
If I can jump in there and back that up, honestly, I love what you said, and I agree. I feel like when sexes will start listing us as well, when we have like proper infrastructure built as well, like Chartfu teasing swaps today, right? That was pretty awesome. And I feel like once we have like swaps in place, I feel like it's more attractive to sexes to start listing runes, like bigger ones like Binance and stuff as well. So. But I wanted to talk about this, like just the future of runes from both like a trader point of view and a founder point of view, because I just like day one when runes came out, I jumped in full force, and I loved honestly the trading experience initially as well, because there were just so many different runes, but they were like there's like a 25 different runes, and you can see them building and constantly active, and what you could invest into. It's really easy for I guess a trader coming in my point of view, because on Solana I shitcoin traded a lot, and like there's 3,000 coin launches a day, right? Whereas on Bitcoin we're seeing 3 4, and it was also easy to be able to identify, hey, like which ones are solid and which ones aren't. And so I really liked honestly the way, and for somebody that can't honestly is like has a lot of Bitcoin sitting around, and they don't have time to like shitcoin trade every day, be in those trenches. Honestly, it's great. It's a great investment for them. Honestly, it's a leverage bet on your Bitcoin. That's just how I see runes. And so, and like you spoke about just like in general about well, what I want to actually touch on is like the ordinals, right? Ordinals had a period right in the beginning where it spiked up and it dropped in interest, and right after that, like we saw infrastructure come in and it blew up, right? We had a massive ordinal bull run. I feel like we're in that same exact position now, and I see the charts being shared all over the place, really backing this up on like where we are right now and where ordinals was. And I really believe, especially the tease with Moonshot and being able to have normies be able to pay and buy with like Apple Card and like pay for coffee with like their runes. I mean, that's incredibly bullish. As soon as that comes out, that's going to be really, really big for runes as well. So, I mean, the future looks really, really bright, to be honest, because of all these amazing things that Magic Eden you guys are working on. I mean, you're getting the Web2 audience, you're making the Web3 audience happy with swaps. I mean, I think I mean, it's perfect. There is one concern that I want to bring up with runes that I feel like not many people mention, is that day that we launched Sparky Rune Dog, we actually we're trying to buy our own rune, like mint our own rune. And unfortunately, like the gas went up so high that we spent $30,000 for 0.5% of supply. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the concerns with founders, is you need to have supply. You need to. I feel like if you're really doing a true good rune launch, you need to be able to have big bags and come into the space and be able to buy up your own rune, so you can really effectively properly pay people and be able to do things with it. And so you can do a pre-mine, of course, but I'm in all these different chats, and as soon as they see even 2 to 4% pre-mine, everyone freaks out and they're like, "No, this isn't a good one." Maybe that will change as as the everything develops, but yeah, just had that point of view as well. But I completely agree. Right now, before this actually goes to Dex's, or excuse me, goes on Sexes, this is an incredibly great opportunity to buy at lower market caps. Yes, the user experience isn't great, but that's good, right? For us because we're so early. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say from my point of view.
Yo, Zan. What's good? What's good? I think I was hanging out with you in Nashville for a while, actually.
Probably which
So
party, bro?
Yeah. We were hanging out.
yeah, the Magic Eden ones, but
Hell yeah.
or like just in general. But yeah, man, good to hear from you. Something I wanted to touch on. So I think so the problem you pointed out, I do a lot of shitcoin trading on Solana too, and like I don't know, I there was like something that happens pretty often these days is those kind of trenches has become pretty PvP instead of PvE. And to give a like very clear example of that happening this week, there was like this fucking meme of the dolphin, and no one knew the dolphin's name. And so like on Pump Fun, instantly there's like 10 different coins for the dolphin, like its name, like go look up the ticker Hanbao on Dex Screener, and then like someone's like, oh, this is the dolphin's name, this isn't the dolphin's name. Just like so many coins get created so quickly. You get vamped on all the different chains. And I think ultimately, like, people sometimes think of it as like a bad thing, that creating a rune is expensive or like time intensive, and like it costs a decent bit of money. But ultimately there is like an upside to that as well. And the upside is like it's less PvP. Like it's like people got to be invested, people got to put time and energy and effort into it. But then at the same time, there's no repeat tickers. So like it's kind of tougher from the creator side of things. But that at least creates a good filter for buyers, because then buyers don't got to worry about these vamp tokens. They don't got to worry about, like basically all the problems that just like instant and rapid token creation have kind of caused in other ecosystems. So it gets me bullish. Those are things that need to be addressed, though, like the expense of it. I saw you have your hand raised, so I wanted to throw it back to you.
Hey, Google Khan here. So yeah, I agree with everyone's perspective. I think that everyone has really good viewpoints. I just wanted to add that for us, the conviction is all around the narrative behind Bitcoin's new ecosystem. Like, what's more bullish than having an ecosystem on top of Bitcoin, right? And so that's for us really, really something that we want to support and that we wanted to be part of. I mean, we discovered ordinals back when it started. We were not at the beginning, maybe 3 months into ordinals. So we started looking into all these ecosystems, started building our portfolios. We were kind of in the shadows. And one thing, like, just as a background, so you can like understand where I'm coming from. I partnered with Buoyant Capital around 2 years ago. I opened a development department here, so I've been in charge of everything there. So when I started seeing the Runes protocol being built by Casey, for us it was like really interesting, and we wanted to challenge ourselves to build something for this ecosystem and build something that could push the space. And well, there's a whole story behind this. We saw Leonidas, not to throw him flowers, but he did an amazing thing with the all the airdrop of the runestones and all the stuff. So we wanted to support that. We really made a degen move going for 8 Bitcoin for the 4 mega runestone, but it actually gave us the spotlight to build Lobo and be able to create this. And yeah, like I was saying, for us, like, runes make a perfect sense to be one of the most bullish narratives in the whole space. And I believe that it's only a matter of time until we are seeing tier one exchanges listing runes. We will see probably maybe in the upcoming months seeing the top runes getting listed, and from there on it will open the door for every other rune who is ready to be listed. So after all, I've been saying this multiple times that one thing that I believe that we need in this ecosystem are success stories from people doing great things and doing big profit, because those success stories just drive attention into the space. So yeah, just to go back to your question, like what is your conviction? It's basically that we want to support this ecosystem because we believe that this will drive more people into Bitcoin. And after all, like if Bitcoin thrives, the whole space will thrive, whole crypto space, like the whole crypto ecosystem will thrive. So yeah, that's one thing that drive us to build Lovo and continue like showing up every day to just like maintain the presence and keep pushing the space. I mean, we've been able, luckily, to be in different in real life events, talking about runes, and spoke with some of you in Nashville also. And I mean, the vibe feels really great. Like people on Bitcoin are really different, and everyone can see that. So yeah, that for us basically it's all part of just pushing and building Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin. And I think that that's really bullish.
Hey folks, Jack here. I'm co-founders with Zed. Just joined the space actually. I've just been kind of quietly listening and playing some catch up, but just like really fascinating conversation. Really glad to be here to learn from everyone. I had a question just because centralized exchanges got mentioned so much. I'm curious to hear from the creators and projects here. Like, what's the experience been like talking to exchanges about listings? And the context behind that is like, like BRC20s, I felt like a bunch of the exchanges were pretty quick to support. So what's the dynamic like? Are they like still trying to understand the runes tech? They haven't built indexing, or is it just like a purely commercial thing? I'm curious to learn a bit more.
Yeah, I can chime in a little bit there. I mean, centralized exchanges, at least the tier ones, try not to talk about this too much, as to not reveal kind of their ambitions or kind of intentions in a lot of ways. They're also quite hard to reach, generally speaking. And listings still are kind of a black box process that they don't really disclose to the public or like pre-hype things until they actually get it off the ground. I think publicly speaking, Kraken and others have been quite vocal as to like why they're slower movers, and I think a lot of it just comes down to supporting a new token standard in a way that aligns with their business security model, and trust is certainly like a big factor or a big impact in their decisions. And because there's so many ongoing priorities for exchanges, and maybe kind of the limited amount of volume that they see for runes, and possibly like the precedent of uh, BRC20 being disrupted by a new token standard. I think this time about they're going to be slower movers, and it's only been what has it been, like 4 months or so or 5 months now since the actual token standard went live, and it takes a while to build token communities or even tokens of sustainable nature and value in communities. There's been some kind of conversations with some tier ones that say that they don't want to be known as like a meme coin listing exchange, even if it was to be viewed relatively, positively. I think some of them want to list something real before they list something as a meme. So I think it really depends on who you're talking to. I think as far as the ones that have supported runes, we kind of see them publicly speaking. Like OKX has supported runes, Gate and Mexi kind of being the bigger of I would say the tier 1/tier 2 exchanges. So I think it's all coming. The challenge obviously is, they're in the business of collecting listing fees, and of course having a token supply that is entirely distributed. A Bybit listing fee such as $1 million or so, or a tier one listing fee or supply agreement fee to Binance, for example, for 3 to 5% of your supply is just not in the scope of like what is actually real, like able to happen. So these meme coins kind of challenge their traditional business model of collecting revenues in a lot of ways. And so it's really a case of they just have to adapt, or someone else is going to do it. Is my position on this.
Yeah, I actually, I mean, I think that's what's so exciting about runes too. It's like we're we're really pushing the borders here. You have like Leo and Vincent and everyone tweeting every day at these centralized exchanges, like list us without the listing fee. So like, if that gets done without a listing fee, I mean, that would be insane. But I also, yeah, I mean, Jack, I kind of wanted you to share some insight too of like the Magic Eden vision, right? Like where we're going, what the on-chain economy will look like. Like, will this disrupt the system, or kind of, yeah, like what do you envision Web3 kind of looks like for fungibles in the future with this problem?
Yeah, happy to yeah, happy to talk about that, and then maybe just slightly to riff off the on the previous point. Yeah, I think that's very insightful that there is like some kind of disruption to the centralized exchanges like business model, or like basically some inconsistency, and then they also have like technical inertia, right, to support the standard. I just feel like just with all of the excitement that's on this space, and everyone who's true believers here, I really feel the sense of, one, we're on the right side of history, and then two, we're so close. Because kind of just like how I see this playing out is like one tier one exchange will list, and then everyone else will be forced to list. It's just like the game theory, in a sense. So man, we just need one. So fuck, and I'm sure we'll get it, and then the whole space is really gonna open up. Yeah, then to your question, yeah, around like the vision for Magic Eden, I think where we've had a lot of success on NFTs in terms of extending to multiple chains. It really helped us. Like we did not have that like clarity of like how to do this, or even whether it was the right thing to do a few years ago, and we bumped into a lot of nails along the way. But coming out of that, we had like a lot of learnings on how to do cross chain and why it's really valuable. So that came from the NFT side. And then for on the token side, we are basically applying the same learning. So we are very interested in extending to token trading, and in our mobile app, you can do that right now. And we also want to extend that, like support runes, of course, and then also extend that to different chains. And then to your question about like, I think this is like all somewhat converging, like centralized exchange, all of these kind of topics is basically one of the monikers that we have inside the company is like all chains, all assets. We want to support multiple chains. We also want to support different asset types, whether it's NFTs or fungible tokens. And really, like our way of thinking about it is like probably the next version of Magic Eden will look like an on-chain version of Coinbase or on-chain version of Binance, where there's like different categories of assets that can be traded and transacted, and we become our version of saying that is like the home of crypto, or the home of Web3, where we become more like a financial hub for users with multiple touch points. And I actually think that is quite disruptive, because we are permissionless. We support like the latest, most frontier innovations, and then you don't have to like if you want to talk to us, get supported, have your assets being traded. Yeah, like there's no fucking listing fees or any rubbish like that. It's just permissionless, and we allow creators to get their innovations out there to the users in like the easiest and most seamless way possible. So yeah, that's a bit of the thoughts on our side, and we're looking to support more, and we're all in on runes, and we love all of the energy that's here. We have absolutely huge respect for all the creators and projects that's making this work.
That's the future I'm excited about, because I will never recommend anyone to go to a centralized exchange. We saw what happened last cycle with FTX. If you preach Bitcoin, you don't preach centralized exchanges. I understand the monetary incentive to get there, but at the end of the day, on chain, it's what matter, and that's what we're looking for. Bullish on ME.
Yeah, just kind of backing up Bongo right there. I just feel that right now, sticking with the decentralized aspect, especially using Magic Eden as the main platform, is such a huge benefit for everybody. Just because I think it's important to have custody of your funds compared to centralized exchanges who hold onto those tokens on behalf of you. And that's another reminder for people to just store their assets on cold storage if possible. I have so many conversations with people who have literally thousands of dollars into these tokens, connecting their wallet in Magic Eden, yet they haven't stored it on cold storage. And so I just have to remind everybody, figure that out if you can, because but when the rune boom does happen, it'll be too late for these centralized exchanges. I think if I were a centralized exchange, I'd be looking at what Magic Eden is doing, seeing how much trading volume is happening there, what the demand is, and what the community is. And right now, as you can tell, it's very, very bullish in terms of community sentiment. And right now, I would be looking at the metrics of Magic Eden because for me, you guys have done such a great job of not just creating the tools, but connecting with that community. I seriously don't think that Runes would be in the spotlight today if it wasn't for Magic Eden providing these tools for us and having spaces like this for us. So, shout out to Jack and Zed for really just, and the whole team for just really creating this atmosphere for us and putting us back into the spotlight.
That's
Yo,
very
what a
kind,
legend.
man. That's
What a
very kind.
legend, Vincent. Thanks so much, man. I wanted to say something as well while we're on the centralized exchange topic. Man, one thing that I find pretty interesting, and we talk about this at Magic Eden too, it's this whole if you look at the market structure from let's say like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, um, and all through like NFTs and DeFi summer, all of that, like going back to the beginnings of on-chain activity on Ethereum, it's always been you're on board through a centralized exchange, you buy crypto there, and then you have to like send it out into a general like non-custodial wallet, right? So that whole experience has relied on a centralized exchange to be right in the middle of that flow, and then it relies on a very very difficult experience of trying to download this like non-custodial wallet and like write your seed phrase down and everything. So that's almost like, because of the way that worked, there is like a heavy reliance on the centralized exchange being the primary touch point and center point for the whole of the crypto industry. And the other piece of all the slice of disruption that I'll just add to what the guys were saying before is that going forward, that actually does not need to be true anymore, and it's already starting to not be true. And you look at all of the stuff that's being built, all the new dApps today, they all get built with like embedded wallets, right? And if you download Magic Eden Wallet today, we don't stick the seed phrase right in front of you. Uh, and what we are building as well in the background, a lot of like people can't see this because we're cooking it, but we're going to have embedded wallet all across the dApp, right? So like on every chain. So imagine embedded wallet on Bitcoin. You can just come in, you have a fiat on ramp top up through MoonPay, something like that, and then you're just good to go. You can just buy your Rune, buy your Ordinal. You don't need to go through a Coinbase or some exchange like that to then send it out into a non-custodial wallet, right? That thing is a thing of the past. So I just feel that with all this conversation about listing fees and like all of that, it's like, okay, on that side we're moving to long tail assets, all chains, all assets, like not like permissionless. That shit's going to win. And then you look at the user experience, it's also going to win on this side because you don't need to go through and do a two-step process to like send your money into a non-custodial wallet, right? So I just feel like the setup for us and what we're trying to build here is hopefully it's like, not to say that we want to just not to like comment about like exchanges not being important, because they've done a huge amount for crypto, but it's like it just doesn't need to be that way going forward, and I think we're excited for that future.
And it's beautiful that's coming to a reality through Bitcoin, where people do appreciate decentralization, and it's the ethos of Bitcoin, and now it's coming alive with Magic Eden and Runes.
Yeah, +1, man. I if I may just like wax poetic slightly, like man, like just I have this really deep sense of like just fuck, we're all on the right side of history here, like everyone in this space. I really fucking feel it. And like, you know, building in crypto is just fucking crazy, right? It's like ups and downs, and you're like, yo, wait, is this like a fad, or am I fading? Am I mid curving it, or like, you know, what's real, what's not? And then, but at the same time, man, if you just zoom out, like, just think about it in 5 years' time, you know, everything that everyone just said on the space is going to come true. Like, of course, there's going to be a fucking huge DeFi ecosystem. Of course, there's going to be a huge meme coin ecosystem on Bitcoin. Of course, there's going to be like thriving dApps on Bitcoin. And of course, like permissionless is going to win. Like that, like those kind of thoughts really help me, and I think help us at Magic Eden, like try to see the noise, see through the noise, right? See for the long term. So, dude, we're fucking on the right side of history, man. Like this space gets me so fucking pumped. Yeah, it's all gonna happen. It's all going to happen.
Can we talk about the future now and Billy to a Billy?
Yeah, so when is Billy going to Billy? When is Dog going to the moon? Um
As
Spark.
soon as you enable swaps, we've been waiting.
Well, yeah, maybe we can maybe make tokens fun. We can talk about a little bit of like, I guess it's like the present but the future, kind of like what we spoke about, but like the present day as in building on L1, kind of where we're at, what swaps looks like, where Runes is currently in our ecosystem, and um yeah, and
Gnarl,
obviously.
I'd love to know like when sniping is going to be fixed too, because like that's a big part of like the user experience that I think a lot of people are anticipating to be solved, especially when you have like high volatility and price within the mempool. It's still, a massive, to a lot of people, issue. I know there's been some like updates that allow you to see if your order has been replaced, and allows you to like fee bump live within the 10-minute block time, which I think is helpful for a lot of ways. But most people don't necessarily sit around and just pup and wait until the 10-minute block time gets confirmed.
I got you, Farmer. So around the end of October is when we're sequencing this RBF solve, and then also swaps come out. And just to like explain that for everyone a little bit more clearly, we wanted to push swaps a while ago, because obviously getting swaps out the door, I think, is the UX that's going to bring people into this market, over from other chains like on Solana and ETH. Lot selection, ultimately, it's really not that hard, but it is like visually different, and it makes the market different enough that I think people have like hesitancy, or there's a little bit of friction. So we wanted to push swaps really early. However, there's a problem, that basically the mempool sniping issue. And as you know, if you do a sweep right now, if any single one of those like items, whether it's on ordinals or runes, any single one of those gets sniped, your entire order kind of falls apart. So before we could solve swap, we had to dig really deep, and basically think through how we could solve this sniping problem. So over the summer, like more details are going to come out soon, but we basically rewrote the entire like infrastructure for how our marketplace operates on the back end, each trade. So what that's gonna, it's still fully decentralized, but what it's going to enable us to do is to really, one, to stop people from coming in and RBFing you and taking your stuff. But then number two, it's going to allow these big sweeps to go through, despite, like if people are trying to be malicious in different ways. But anyways, to answer your question, long story short, it's been a long time coming, and RBF goes out around the end of October and swaps very shortly after. It just had to kind of be sequenced like that, because if we did swaps first, the experience just would have been awful. Like people would have been RBF warning still, and orders would have been failing. So that's the answer there. I think Gnarl can actually, he has a better view of the timeline for when we're making announcements on like the technicalities and stuff like that.
Yeah, we definitely plan to like. I mean, it's innovative, right? Like we have to balance building on Bitcoin L1, honoring the ethos of Bitcoin, not going custodial or centralized, and also a good user experience. So I know it's like it was very deeply thought out and innovative. So definitely want to shine light to the technical side of it, as well as just like yeah, letting users know the what to expect out of it and just timelines and everything. So we'll definitely put that all out before it goes live. And you can kind of prepare. We could discuss about it. We'll spit alpha in your space, Farmer Joe. It's fine. And yeah, that should be soon because, like he said, it's supposed to go live towards the end of the month. So we'll have that going out soon before that.
And one last bullish announcement. The nice thing about like being at a broader crypto company where there's a lot going on is our mobile team has been working very hard to make the onboarding experience a little bit better. So we talked about fiat a lot and like on-ramping fiat via mobile. So having teams working on that combined with our team working on swaps leads to a place where we got to put everything together, and it's going to take a lot of time to put everything together. So like you might see stuff roll out on a web first and then like hit mobile at a different point in time. But at the end of the day, I think the vision for what we want to do is all these different teams that are working on different things is kind of coming into focus and coalescence in a single spot. More to come soon.
I actually had a question for Jack. Jack, recently you gave a speech, and I don't know if it was at Token 2049 or some other event, but offering the ability to swap different digital assets within the platform of Magic Eden. And one of the examples that you showed was dog rune token in exchange for something else. I want to get
awesome.
I just want to get more insight on that because maybe you can give a little bit more context of what we could expect to come, like because Bitcoin has such a large market cap and runes becoming the next new meta this cycle. Do you think that runes is going to be possibly one of the things that people would swap for like, say for instance, NFTs on different chains, or you think that people are going to funnel their different assets on other chains to the Bitcoin assets such as ordinals and runes? I mean, what was the intention behind that? Why even integrate runes into swapping for other digital assets? I want to understand that motivation, what you think could happen in the future.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question, man, and thank you for picking that up. I felt like we actually put a lot of effort to put that little Easter egg in, and not a lot of people picked that up. So I felt a little like miffed afterwards. But yeah, I don't promise to everyone in the space it's not like a tee up or anything. But yeah, thank you for the question. Look, I think here's our like vision for it. I think that and a couple of things. Number one, I think very, very excited for this rune meta. I think because the attention, because of the frontierness of the technology, the innovation, I actually think that runes is going to be one of the big winners, right, of the cycle. And a lot of capital, new users are going to come in, and we at Magic Eden, we're going to try to do our bit, right, just to make the experience more seamless and to facilitate the ease of that process. So that's number one. Number two, one of our thesis for Magic Eden from very early days is this thing that's related to growing the pie. And growing the pie is really growing the pie and making crypto easier for everyone. These are some like really core tenets that we have. And something that I've always felt is like, man, sometimes this like chain maximalism that we have in different chains, and especially like Sol, like our Genesis chain, there's like some very vehement communities that I actually feel like sometimes that's actually a function of the technology and a function of the tools. It's actually there is a sense of like sentimentality of users on these chains which give them that maximalism behavior, but actually it's also because the fucking tools and the technology and the experience of traversing, going to different communities, going to different chains to check out the innovations that are on different chains is so hard. That actually then creates the siloed effect that we have. And that siloed effect then leads to some of the behaviors that we see. So we at Magic Eden, being like product first, trying to build good technologies for the space, what we actually just want to do is actually make that easier. Just make that easier. So then to your point, like, why do we have runes to SMBs, actually like Solana Monkey Business, as an Easter egg? Well, we are laying the foundations to that. Today, if you use our mobile app, you can easily bridge from Sol to BTC, ETH to BTC. Actually, those are one of the most popular routes that we see, and we're like very glad to see that. And then the next step for us is, then we are going to put runes and rune swaps into that same UI, make sure that you can swap runes for BTC, all of that. And then, hey, if you put a couple of these nice things together, like rub them together, right? Like magic stones together, then I think we can do exactly what's actually on the UI. We could then do runes to Sol, Sol to then Solana NFT. We can then create those routes. And that is actually in line with our vision of just make crypto easier for everyone. If we make it easy for people to discover the content, innovations, and communities on different chains, then actually I think that would allow us as an overall ecosystem, rise above some of the maximalism that we see today. So yeah, those are some thoughts.
I actually love that answer because when I saw that announcement that you made on stage, the first thing I thought of was, wouldn't it be amazing if someone like swapped their blue chip NFT, if it's Bored Apes or CryptoPunk for Dog? Like that would be historic. And once that does happen, I can imagine like DJ News and all these news outlets say, oh my gosh, the first swap of an NFT blue chip for this amount of runes made this historical price record trade. And I can see that catching a lot of headwind within, the media outlets and stuff. So yeah, I really want to see that happen, especially, if someone can swap it with Dog, that'd be great. By the way, Dog is up 16% while Bitcoin's decoupling. Just want to put that out there.
Hey guys, how's it going? I love what you're doing over here with Magic Eden. Like my first time when I found out about runestones and RSIC and all of those, first place that I learned that you could purchase it is Magic Eden. So very amazing on that, and I'm sure just like myself, there's many other people that when they hear ordinals or when they hear runes, like the first place that they get referred to is Magic Eden. But that all of that stuff, I'm sure you guys already talked about. It's amazing. Love to be part of your guys' community, but I'm not sure if I missed it or not. I wanted to know. I did see somewhere earlier on today something about non-custodial swaps. Has that been discussed already? Do we know? Do we know some information? How would that work?
Is that talking about rune swaps? Maybe that's for Zed or no?
Yeah. I believe it said like I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but it said non-custodial swaps, and I was just
That was Chartreuse Teas today.
what was that? I'm sorry.
Chartreuse teased non-custodial swaps today on his Twitter. I think maybe that's where you saw it.
Oh yeah, probably. And what does that even pertain to Magic Eden, or was that just something that doesn't have anything to do with what's going to get introduced in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I didn't know which trade you're talking about. Yeah, I think it's referring probably to the swaps that are upcoming soon. That Zed actually put out a pretty good write up as to like what to expect there. I don't know if you saw it, Vito. I pinned it here, next to Bongo's funny news tweet. But yeah, it's coming out soon. And pretty much, yeah, it's going to allow you to fluidly swap between Bitcoin to runes, runes to Bitcoin, vice versa, and make the UX, just super simple. We're hoping to onboard, meme coin traders from other chains that are familiar with that UX. So yeah, it's going to be like pretty much V1 will be the next step, moving in, kind of tapping into our current runes bids, and just building up liquidity more there, and then yeah, just creating like a nice front end UX for those swaps.
Awesome. And then any plans for us regular users to provide liquidity, or is that still in the works?
I'd say it's in the works. Like, yeah, thinking about what we can do to keep getting more depth in the liquidity. We're tracking it pretty good and thoroughly daily. And yeah, definitely want folks to be, excited to provide Bitcoin side liquidity. so that swaps are as smooth as possible. So yeah, we're definitely like looking at all that, tracking how it's all building up. I think like the top runes are doing pretty well, and then which I think probably we'll see the most swaps initially. But yeah, it's pretty fun stuff, and I know we've spoken about it, so your insight's always helpful with that too.
Awesome, yeah, and it would be cool to along with some type of accumulating some type of fee from Bitcoin or Dog, for example, by providing liquidity. It would be cool to have the magic diamonds, of course, as liquidity points, so something around those lines.
Damn, good thing we got Jack here. He could approve it.
All right, I gave the thumbs up. Man, fucking twisting my arm here, guys. Anyway, I was actually gonna say I need to drop for a meeting, but it's been a pleasure, y'all, and thank you so much for the support. We really really appreciate it. And if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please keep it coming. Thanks, everyone.
Sweet. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, we could probably wrap up. I think we're at an hour and a half, unless any crazy pressing thoughts, comments. If not, can close this out. I'll give it like 10 seconds.
For said, I've been thinking about your PFP, and I think a Bitcoin shroom will be perfect for you. So go ahead and spend 2 Bitcoin on that.
Wait, Bongo, is that a
Yo,
gift, Bongo? Yo, come on, bro.
Yeah, Bongo, does
yo.
Billy have glasses for Azukis?
If they don't, we're gonna roll it out soon. They're listening, so get on it, Billy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get on
those
it, Billy.
Yo, Zed, you gotta get a Bitcoin shroom. That'd be so sick.
Yo. Come on,
Or Jack.
guys.
Someone needs to get one on the team. That'd be
Oh
so
my
cool.
God. All right, I'll take a look. All right, guys, take a look.
Yeah, if not, can you at least commit to putting Billy glasses on your Zuki or something here?
I love
Yes,
how
he
the way
can.
the way this is talked about is like, come on, guys, cover that shit up. That's basically what I'm hearing from the crowd here.
Breaking. Set commits to put on Billy glasses.
Fuck, man, Bongo is dangerous, bro. Get this guy out of here.
All right. I mean, yeah. If nothing else, I think we've been around for a bit, so let's wrap it up. I heard my music was not playing well on the intro, so maybe I won't do music this time around. But yeah, thanks to everyone joining in. Definitely want to keep cooking these out. I don't know if anyone else has closing remarks. Z tokens creators. I know you'll say bye dog, bye Billy, bye Bip. Um,
Claim
Can I?
function coming soon on Magic Eden when we start releasing the plushies. So keep an eye out for that. And Bongo, when you get a chance, check out the collection. Like we definitely went and added Billy glasses to some of the dogs in the actual PFP collection as a tribute to another community ran successful rune project.
Can I play the closing song?
yeah, please Bongo, because I gotta figure out my mic shit. So